Okay, here's a quick and dirty version of my selection painting technique. I don't know if it's mine, um, but it's a sort of an amalgam of a bunch of different styles. So the first thing you do on this blank canvas is to select the silhouette of what you want to paint. In this case, I'm just going to do a quick little vase with simple flowers in it, something silly, but that shows basically what we're doing here. And you can get as complex as you want. I'm not going to get super complex because we're just... Okay, so that's a super basic version of a flower pot with flowers in it. And I'm going to go to the main menu and use the fill tool and just fill that in solid black like that. And then deselect. So I have the silhouette of my basic thing. I'll probably trim that a little bit while I'm at it. Let's see. I didn't do that right. So I did that on the background layer, which is not what I want. So I'm going to go back, add a layer. This is a transparent layer, and do my fill on that transparent layer. And then deselect. So background layer is gray here. Silhouettes on the transparent layer. Then I'm going to go in to the extras here and lock transparency. So now that transparency is locked, I want to paint the basic values of this. I'm just going to pick up a lighter gray, zoom in a little bit. I've got my favorite brush is the Boro Dante brush. That dude just makes the best brush. I've got a slider over here for the size, and then I'm just gonna... That's a little too close to the background, so I'm gonna start darker. And because the transparency is locked, I can't go over those edges. It's using that edge, and I paint inside. That edge, right? I can use a pretty big brush and just gently just sort of get some values in there. I can, by holding down, I can sample any of these blended colors. If I want a darker gray, I just pick it up. Right. That's a little more shadow. That's a little brighter. I can sample this color again. Cast shadow. Bottom. And just like using clay, you're just kind of sculpting it out, but all within that initial shape that you selected. And then some highlights real quick. I'm just doing this super fast so I can show all the steps. You get the real full range. You want lights and darks and a good... So it would look good as a black and white picture, right? Alright, that's pretty much good enough for our purposes. Alright, so the next thing I would do if I want to color this is, I could go back, I could unlock it, I can erase, I could just unlock the transparency, go in and use the eraser to make some more details in there. Like, you can really carve out your image to be just what you want. Adjust everything, And you can do this at any step in the whole process. Just keep tweaking until it looks like what you want it to look like. Right. So when I got that looking like what I want, I can go to my layers, lock this again. I can add a new layer and make it a masking layer, clipping mask. So now when we go back to layers, you see it's got a little arrow pointing at that previous one. It means that it's got the same edges that the one underneath it has. It's going to paint within that space, but it's also on a new layer. You're not painting directly on your previous one. And the other thing I'm going to do is change this blend mode from normal. If I paint normal, it's just opaque on top of that. It doesn't look good. If I go to overlay, it's a transparent film on top of that. And I can pick my colors here, just pick any old basic colors and start painting on top of my previous stuff and give it life in seconds, right? I'm not worried about staying inside the lines, and I'm not worried about anything because it's all just locked. Like, I've already decided all that stuff and it's locked. I can just have fun choosing colors that seem right and see how those values are maintained. Bam. I have something I can work with at least, right? Like, maybe that's not finished art, but it's the foundation for it. And if I like that, I can take these layers and collapse them. How does that work here? Yeah, this little arrow button here. Merge down. So now those aren't two separate layers. They are on a transparent layer on their own. I can unlock the transparency here, and I have this as a flexible layer to work with at this point. So I can go choose this color, adjust my brush to something paintable, and start building out in a more painterly fashion than that hard cut edge that just, it sort of looks like graphic art. This gives you that, I don't know, looks more like real brush strokes. You can go across your entire painting like that and just sort of fix it up and tweak everything. You can go back and lock it once you've done that, so you get these new edges that look like you want. You can lock it and repaint the insides and have the same advantages of the transparency. But yeah, that's it. That's the fast and quick method to make pictures on the iPad.